In a while.
Oh, nice to see you guys.
Good deal. All right, so I did get caught up with the last meeting. So I appreciate that you guys went ahead without me on that and kind of filled in the gaps there. I think the things that we need to address tonight that are most pressing are fireworks, which Keith, I'm glad to see you here. I've been talking with Western Displays and I know that they reached out to you. We still need to iron out those details and figure out kind of what our game plan is going to be there. And then Shannon will do a check-in with you and Karen, and we'll see if we can keep this short and sweet and productive tonight. I haven't heard from Aaron. Has anybody heard that he wouldn't be here tonight?
Haven't heard.
All right. Well, Keith, why don't we kick off with you then? I have been talking with Western Displays for the last few weeks. When I reached out to Aaron, he said that you have been in contact with them as well. So you want to bring us up to date on your conversations with them and what that's looking like?
Aaron and I went out and viewed one of the sites we were talking about, and that's out at the sewer lagoons. Very doable site. We have almost, I think it was 850 feet of clearance all the way around us. The nice thing is it is fenced off completely for security wise. The other part of that being, there's nothing out there that'll burn. The drawback to it for us, narrow berm, we've got some safety issues that we'll have to deal with, but that's a logistics problem. I spoke with Janice at, and not Janice, but Heather at Western, quite in depth with her, sent her up some surface maps that Aaron and I generated. She was impressed with the location also. The other bad portion to it is we will have to close the airport for a portion of time from that direction. They will not be able to take off or land because it is right in the flight zone. This has been done with other airports. Hillsborough, during their air show, they closed the entire airport. McMinnville's done the same, so it shouldn't be a big issue.
Yeah, I was going to say McMinnville actually shot them off at the airport one year when I was younger. So
yeah, Hillsborough's done the same thing for multiple years. It just takes a matter of coordinating with the airport and I believe it's the FAA at that point. And then what they do is put a restricted fly zone for X number of hours around it. The nice thing is, like I said, there's nothing to burn out there. It's rock and water, and that's it.
I got the okay from the aviation maintenance guy.
Okay.
Are there going to need to be any certain permits involved that we need to deal with, or is it just coordinating?
I believe Western will deal with all the permits, like they do with the Marine Board, the state fireworks permits, local city government, all that stuff.
I think that one of the biggest things we need to do, even though we don't need their permission, is to have some really good communication with the airport folks here in town.
Yeah, and actually the other part I would say probably have some sort of communication with the immediate housing around there, just because it's going to be a tad bit noisier. Kind of over towards where I live, it's going to be fairly noisy.
Okay, is having I know when I was talking with Heather, based upon the location that we were going to have, which it sounds like there's a big enough fallout zone there that they won't have to redesign much of the program, right? Other than splitting it up between the 2 days itself, but not having to restructure the shell size or anything like that.
No, actually we could go up to a 8-inch shell out there, which is going to go pretty far up in the air. Aaron and I were talking from our usual shoot site down there on the river to where we'd be there. We're about actually 100 feet higher in elevation also, which will help.
So would these ones go up higher in the air? Plus we're at a higher elevation? Is that what you're saying?
Yes,
Good, because I was thinking those of us who live lower, we would have a better chance of seeing it than if we stayed at home.
correct.
I think that's
And
one of the
those
things
that-
that we're shooting for is a higher elevation to shoot from and then getting them higher in the sky, which would be great with that kind of a fallout zone. We could accommodate that.
Right.
Mhm.
Keep in mind, the bigger shells we go to, the more expensive they're going to be. But
Yeah.
it is, and we can't
I
dig
think-
into the berm out there, so we have to pack everything in basically troughs on top of the berm in sand.
Doable.
Yeah, it's doable.
Yeah, I think if we had fireworks that everybody could see, I don't know that people would be disappointed that the show wouldn't last as long because there weren't as many, because they're going to actually get to see something.
I agree.
So is this a location that we can offer an area where people can drive in to watch, whether it's there or maybe at the sports park or anything like
So-
that?
The old Ross parking lot. Go ahead, Aaron.
Yeah, my idea on it was it will be extremely good viewing from Medallion Cabinetry and Marquee Spa's parking lot. So I was thinking that we could talk with them and see if we can sell their lot or have a youth group of some sort sell their lot to generate some revenue back for the fireworks. But then I also was thinking about from Ross, the old Ross parking lot, if we could get in with the guy that owns it now from California and talk to him, we could sell half of the Ross parking lot and half of or the church parking lot off of 12th and 13th, the movie theater parking lot. I mean, there's a lot of parking lots around where people could do a drive-in, and we're really centrally located there. So it'd be really easy to just kind of tell people.
Believe it or
stay
not, I
home.
think
Ones that can't
Talmadge and Central High also.
Yeah, the school parking lots, all of
yeah.
that would be.
Oh, yeah, the high school in Talmadge especially, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, even
Yeah, I
Ash
think
Creek
all those-
Elementary.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean,
Oh, yeah, I didn't think about that.
there's
yeah.
a lot of potential around there for that parking areas to be
Mhm.
the revenue generator, even though it's not necessarily about the revenue, but we got to pay for it somehow. So,
That's my next hurdle to cross, and that's why I was asking that question there, is because we're not going to have a revenue coming in, but we're sure going to be having it going out. Go ahead, Shannon.
Where physically is this location?
so it's our sewer lagoons. It's the very south end of the runway for the airport, right
Okay.
across the street, right behind Medallion Cabinetry.
Okay. Oh, I know where it is. Okay.
Yeah. So really it's, let's see, it's the creek that runs parallel to Gun Club Road and Monmouth Avenue. So it's
Yeah,
kind of
Ash
Ash
Creek.
Creek
Mhm.
and Gun Club Road for the most part. It's pretty close to that.
Okay.
So it's for Independence, it's very central for Independence. Monmouth is, it's going to be a little farther out, but still, I mean,
But it's closer to Monmouth now this
yeah.
this way than it would be down at the river. So
Yeah. My
This is true.
parents told me that they can sit on their front porch at Clay and Atwater in Monmouth and see the high fireworks from the river. So I would imagine we're another 100 feet farther. They're going to be able to they'll be able to see the 300-foot ones and more from
Mhm.
their house. So I would imagine everybody in town will be able to see at least some of the fireworks. Both.
and even though it's lower, I'm wondering, even in Riverview Park parking lot, because there aren't going to be any buildings obscuring the way.
Yeah,
They might even have a.
they might have a decent view there as well. Yeah. Yep.
Mhm.
River, the ball fields and down by the boat ramp and that kind of stuff, they have the River Place apartments kind of in the way.
Mhm.
I would
Mhm.
imagine the site angle might be a little different, but you never know.
Yeah.
Could work out to be great. The hotel would still be able to do their
Mhm.
thing, because they would have a decent view being up where
Really
they're
good
at.
view. Mhm.
Not on the wrong
Mhm.
end of the hotel, but it'd be okay. So hopefully,
right.
and I did get, I called today and talked to EQ to make sure that they were okay with us doing the show over the wastewater lagoons. And they said they don't have any, they don't really, there's no nomenclature anywhere that says you can't shoot fireworks over the lagoons. He's like, it's kind of an odd question. I don't know what to say. So, yeah, he said,
Oh,
as far as he's concerned, it's so.
you just cannot know how excited I am.
Well, the
I'm
only
so
thing
glad
that
that
could
it's
hang us
sounding.
up now would be, in all honesty, would be permission from the city to do it. So, because it is on city property. So,
Right.
Tom is on vacation, so I'm just kind of don't want to bother him, but I do want to
Well-
know whether he's okay. I'm sure.
One
Karen
thing,
is
the city's always been listed as a insured on the liability
Mhm.
policy with the insurance or with the fireworks. So that would just carry over to the new site. And like I said, the only thing out there that's going to burn is probably Aaron when he sits on a pile of something that shouldn't be sitting on.
Okay, well, this is definitely a step in the right direction. I'm
Mhm.
glad to see you're excited, Karen, but we still have a lot to go. And the big
I
part of
realize.
the big part of that is going to be the funding. And I really wasn't worried about the funding until I knew we were going to find a location, because I know Aaron's been working hard on finding that. It hasn't been easy.
No. Everywhere you think would be a great spot, all of a sudden there's this, and you're like, oh, there goes that. So
I can't even imagine why I didn't think of the Lagoon Creek, because I was going to suggest tonight, if we didn't have a spot, well, what about the Medallion Cabinetry parking lot or something?
yeah.
So I didn't.
Yeah.
They have too many hazardous materials in that building.
Hmm.
Aaron and I spent a couple hours out there actually looking at things, and Dee was there with us trying to make sure we found everything that could be a potential problem. Even the chlorine that's in a couple of the buildings out there, Western said it was not a problem because it was not a liquid, and it's not a hazard that way. So the
Good.
biggest problem we're going to have to overcome is I think the flight pattern for aircraft that come in and out.
And John
Yes.
P. Wilson, Mr. Wilson, he said that he's sure it would be fine. They can do the north end of the runway for the ones that do want to go in and out. And It's not, they do it quite often. You know, if they got repairs to be made on the runway, they close the runway, and it's not like it's the end of the world. So.
Okay.
So as far as the flight stuff goes, we don't have to handle any of that, right? Western Displays will take care of all of that.
Yes,
I think
that's
so.
what I understand.
Yep.
Okay. All righty.
We want to make sure we tell her that they're getting
I emailed her and
aviation.
made sure she was aware.
Yeah.
Okay. So
So are we still
Wait.
thinking 2 shows?
I think, well, I don't know with this much exposure, because one of the reasons why we weren't going with 2 shows was because we didn't think we would find a location that would be able to house enough viewing space. But it sounds like with this location, I mean, we have a lot of options that we could potentially use. Of course, none of them are guaranteed options, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I still kind of think one of the things that we are bound to is our deposit from 2 years previous bound us into our $25,000. I haven't talked with Heather about, she knows that the show's going to have to be adjusted to some degree. And I'm sure she's talked with both, Keith and Aaron about that. We talked about how it's going to have to get redesigned. What we didn't talk about was whether or not we were going to dial back the show. I know that we are set in with our contract, so I'm not sure that rolling it back financially is going to be an option. So with that being said, 25,000 would be a very huge one show.
Well, when you get up into those bigger shells, they cost a tad bit more money.
Yeah,
Okay,
might go fast with the
Once
bigger
we
shell.
get to, I think it's a 6-inch shell. If I remember right, it's about 1 3/4 times cost of a 5-inch shell. And so it just keeps escalating from there.
We could say instead of a huge show, it would be a very high show.
Yes.
Oh.
And to be
Well,
honest
how
with you
about-
guys, I've never fired an 8-inch shell, so it'd be a kick in the butt.
It's gonna be a blast. No.
how about we table this part of the conversation till later in the meeting? I know that Shannon was tasked to work on some stuff based on a 2-day show. So I want to check in with her before we kind of follow up on and make a decision on that. But it's definitely, I know it's something that we need to make a decision on because my communication with Heather, they need to be able to work things out and get that done sooner rather than later.
Yep.
So Shannon, let's kick on over to you with the things that you were tasked to work on. And I swear it feels like we had this conversation over a year ago because
Yeah,
yeah.
I've had some conversations, nothing concrete yet. I talked to Vicky McCubbin, who's on the IDA board, about helping us work with the businesses and get them engaged in some way, shape, or form. She's very much open to it. She's going to have a meeting separately with Kate to discuss in detail. I don't know if it happened this week or if it's early next week, but one of the things Vicky said to me is there any way for this to be a benefit to IDA too? IDA is trying to generate sponsorships, not the kind of sponsorships we're used to doing. I'm talking about they don't have individual member, or they don't have organizational members in IDA. They have individuals who become members in IDA. And maybe if there's some way that we can do some kind of sponsorship thing while this is going on, handing stuff out to people. Maybe it's a flyer or something like that. But I'm waiting to hear from Kate to see exactly what she's got in mind. But we're trying to make it kind of a symbiotic relationship, and maybe this means they'll participate in future Independence Days as well. But that more to come on that anyway. The museum, unfortunately, is not opening until after the 4th of July, but very closely after the 4th of July. So I talked to Amy, the curator, and she talked to the museum board the other night. They're thinking maybe they could do some kind of soft opening. Maybe just, they may not be able to let people into the museum, depending upon what the situation is then, but they may be able to have something set up for people to see, or maybe something on the sidewalks, because at the new location, they got those really big sidewalks on both sides of the building. So maybe they could do something there. So again, more to come on that.
I want to ask a question real quick back to IDA.
Yeah.
Actually, a couple of questions. IDA is not a city entity, right? It's a private organization.
It's a nonprofit, yeah.
Okay. And so when you were talking about some sort of sponsorship, are they looking in the aspect of getting their organization out there to the community, or are they needing financial support as well?
No, they're trying to do some marketing and get their organization out there.
Okay. All right. Because one of the things that just kind of instantly popped into my head, and it's something that we can definitely explore. Feel free to tell me it's a lousy idea as well, but we're going to need, if we start bringing in a group of locations that we're going to have people view from, if we're going to bring in a group of viewing locations, we're also going to have to staff them to some degree. There's going to have to be people there. So I don't know if we can incorporate IDA into either 1 or 2 parking locations to where they could hand out literature, any marketing materials, have booths set up, talk about who they are, anything like that. So just something to think about.
Yep, I like that idea.
All right. One of the things that we had talked about in the past, Shannon, was setting up with the local businesses as far as putting together like a some type of a meal basket, just to promote business to our restaurants. Have you worked on that yet?
That's part of the IDA thing. IDA did
Okay.
business members, the restaurants in particular who are members of the board and they like the idea. It's just a matter of they've got to figure out how to do it. And the logistics associated with it too. If we're going to have multiple, when we were going to do the 2 nights, it was more like a drive-in movie kind of thing. So that lent itself pretty well to a meal. If we're going to use multiple places now, I don't know if that changes people's perception. I mean, do you want to grab a meal to go park in Marquis parking lot and watch them, or do you want to bring something from home? I don't know.
What if we kind of changed gears on that a little bit? And the more I talk with people in the community, they really want to see not so much the block parties coming back, but just an area set up with the activities that kids could come down, and, you know, set up a couple of games distanced apart. I wonder if we could incorporate, because 4th of July is on a Sunday, I believe. If we could incorporate having the park set up with some of those games kind of spread around, come down into the area and switch it over to kind of a picnic basket, a lunch type meal, where they can come down, have it available after church and the park ends, maybe a certain hour set on their lunch deals, whatever we want to call it, whatever they want to call it, and do it something during the day instead of right before fireworks.
Okay, and you're thinking about having the games all day long?
Not all day. I think after church in the park, just for maybe a 4 or 5 hour stint. Let's see. Church in the park usually ends at around noon, if I remember right. If we went from maybe noon to 4 or noon to 5. What I'm thinking about is the duck derby. Erin, how is that going to affect you having the duck derby and the fireworks that night?
That could be a challenge because of the new location, and there's going to be a lot of unknowns and what to do. I wonder if it would be, I know it's tradition to do on the 4th of July, but would it be possible to do the duck derby on Saturday night or Saturday afternoon at kind of the wrap up of whatever, and then we do the fireworks on Sunday?
That's kind of where my head was at too, because I know that's going to be stretching you thin to have you on the river and doing the fireworks at the same time. I like the idea of doing the duck derby on Saturday. And then the other part to that as well is with 4th of July on Sunday, does that speak to a good reason for doing 2 shows, one on Saturday night, one on Sunday night? Because we know people have to work Monday morning. However, at this point in time where we're at, I don't know that people would really complain about staying up late to watch the fireworks.
Yeah.
And depending on who they work for, a lot of companies do give you the 4th of July off. And then since it's on a Sunday, Monday would be the holiday. So
I'm wrestling with that idea, Janice, about picnics. If we do some kind of picnic thing during the day in conjunction with the activities, we're going to have picnic tables. We're going to have some place for people to kind of spread out a little bit and eat. They're not going to want to eat in their car. My thought was that when we were going to do it maybe somewhere down by the river is that people would get a basket and they'd eat it in their car like they would, a drive-in movie. This is going to be a little bit different during the daytime because they're not eating just before the fireworks. They got all that time to spend because the fireworks don't start till 9:30, 9:45, right?
10.
Yeah. Maybe we're back to food trucks.
That was one thought I had actually was some food trucks at the different parking lots. And
Yeah.
then that would
So-
be an incentive to sell that parking lot. You know, obviously people are going to come to Pinky's no matter where it's at. But if it was at Roth's old parking lot, then it would be, you know, that would be awesome. Have an incentive to have people come there.
So that was my thought too, when we talked about different parking locations, was having a food truck there. But I don't want to take away from our original goal of engaging our local businesses that
Yeah.
you know, need our support. I know that we have trucks that are local, you know, which would be in essence, you know, offering the same support to them. I just want to be cognizant of the fact that we really strive to support our community, whether it is through the food trucks or through the businesses, either way.
Part of the supporting the businesses is over the course of that weekend, we could do some kind of special deal so that people just take advantage of it throughout the course of the weekend, not necessarily in conjunction with the fireworks. You know, if, let's say, Manjari offers 15% off for that weekend, people may go in and eat or take out for that weekend, but it would just be the deal for that weekend. That's kind of what I've asked Ida to look at and talk to the business folks downtown at least. And they said they would branch out and hit businesses outside of the downtown corridor too. But, you know, and maybe Courtney can extend her scratch offs, or we can start another scratch off just for 4th of July, so that the businesses that don't have food, you know, that aren't restaurants can get some kind of deal as well.
That's a good idea. I like that idea.
Yeah, Karen, I thought I read something where Courtney or Tom said funds are getting low for that kind of stuff. Do you know anything about that?
I'm sorry, I don't.
Okay.
Thought I had also would be is if you assigned a parking area early to, i.e. San Antonio's, I'm just pulling that one out of my head because first thing I thought of. And let's say they're going to be sponsoring or a part of sponsorship at Medallion's parking lot. You pre-order your meal and they have somebody out there to be able to hand it out.
Okay.
It's a thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
And
Or
maybe
we could offer
could-
delivery service and use the gators to deliver it.
There you go.
Budget delivery
And
fee,
then-
you might make her $25,000.
Then along with the parking, maybe we could offer some sort of, I don't know how we would do it, but having some sort of where we could raise money. And I hate to have it just for those who can afford it, but maybe have some sort of competition so that way we could have some of the really good parking spots out by Medallion as prizes or something like that. And maybe even have that parking lot cost a little bit more than it would be if you were parked down at Riverview Park or something.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was wondering too. Do we charge the same for the library parking lot as, you know, we did for Medallions, or is Medallions going to be $20 a car and the library parking lot's $5 a car? Or, you know, that kind of thing.
I mean, I don't see it being an unreasonable thing, mostly for the fact if you go to a football or basketball game, you're going to find the seating the same way. But again, making sure that, you know, we have something that fits the needs of all of our community financially.
Exactly.
Okay. So let's move on to Karen real quick about any communication from the Rotary with the parade, and then we'll go back to making our decision and talking a little bit more about one show or two.
Okay, let me parade. Okay. So Rotary had a meeting yesterday to discuss the parade. They are cautiously moving forward with this because we don't know what the governor's orders, if there will be any, and if so, what they would look like as far as an outdoor gathering, which is what the parade is. However, we are going to move ahead with planning the parade simply because we feel it would be easier to cancel it like 7 days before the 4th than it would be to try to get a parade organized 7 days before the 4th. So ODOT has been contacted and they are agreeable to issuing a provisional permit for the highway.
Wow.
It is, they will grant it with the proviso, knowing that it's possible it could be revoked, not knowing what COVID is like. And I have a question into City of Monmouth, and I will be visiting with the City of Independence city manager, and so we can both talk about, is it possible to do, and if so, what would the restrictions be? And obviously we don't know that right now, but we're cautiously moving forward. If the parade can't happen in the usual way, they were kind of looking at, well, maybe we could have floats parked in various places throughout both towns, and it could be a reverse parade. People could drive around looking at the floats. Go to
Okay.
the fire hall and look at the fire trucks with their lights going, and all that kind of stuff. So.
Okay, well, that was going to be my question. It was, are there going to be any modifications to the parade? And I think that's a great backup plan there, is to stage them in different areas.
Mm-hmm. And in both towns, so it's real. So you get people going to both, and because Monmouth is working towards having something their 4th of July in the park. So, so yeah, fingers crossed.
All right. Well, Tino, Neil, do you guys have any thoughts or comments? I'm sure you both would prefer a one night show just to keep things low key. Well, not low key, but one night instead of two. What are your thoughts on that?
Logistically, it makes the most sense for us to have it at one night, but we also know that everybody wants something to happen this year. Of course, I guess, having heard what Keith said about cost and all, if we can afford to have 2 nights, that'd be great. But if cost is an issue, then I would lean toward a single night for that reason as well. And then I'm just really trying to be as flexible as possible for whatever comes our way. I guess I'm not seeing really how do we do a parade, even unless restrictions are completely lifted. How are we going to manage the number of people and how close they are in each city block? That just
Right.
seems, yeah, I'm having a hard time picturing that happening with any sort of restriction.
And we are too, but so that's why we're trying to look at other alternatives. But where we are hearing that the vaccine may be available to all people by May 1st, and so that means everybody could be fully vaccinated by July 4th. It just might be possible, but we don't know, and we won't know until it gets closer.
Mhm.
Has the Rotary discussed any possibility of, like we had talked about in the past, of doing some neighborhood routes and splitting the parade up a little bit and just kind of driving through some areas instead of having it completely down Main Street?
We haven't discussed that yet, but we will obviously talk more about all sorts of different alternatives. That was one that I had brought up when we very first started talking about this, but we've only had a couple of meetings. So there's going to be another meeting in 2 weeks. So to see where we're at and see what the feeling is in the two towns.
Okay. All right. So, Neil, go ahead. Did you have any input there?
Oh, I agree with Tino. Logistically, the one night will be easier for us. So much of our staff is volunteer anyway, and they love to do the fireworks. We don't really have any issues staffing our apparatus, so that's not really a concern for me. I like the idea of that venue there by the ponds. I think the visibility is going to be great. The parade, that's exciting. Thanks, Karen, for volunteering the fire station to just have all our rigs parked outside, which would be
Sure.
also be
Well, not all of them, at least
really,
one with the lights going. Everybody likes lights.
I think it's great. We could just have all of our rigs there. Our people would be there.
There's a drive-through parade right there. Just make the whole horseshoe.
Yeah. Yeah. We could line all the police cars along the outside of the building, and just go right through the middle there.
I mean, I don't know any kid under the age of 12 that wouldn't just go ape over something like that. So yeah,
Be fun.
and some grown-ups
Under
too.
the age of 12, I'd be all giddy too.
I'll rope Tino right into it with me.
Aaron, you could bring some cherry pickers out too and just
Yeah,
keep them the cherry pickers.
yeah. I like
Drop candy right from them. Well, I think that sounds like a great backup plan if the parade can't happen. But okay, so here's my thoughts on the 1 night, 2 night show. 1 night, less work for us, which I don't know about you all, but I'm exhausted. You know, COVID obviously has changed how a lot of things are working, and my work is crazy busy. 1 night would just give us half of the work that we have to do. 1 night would allow us to put on a bigger show, a more spectacular show, and 1 night would ease up the assistance that we get from the police department, the fire department, all of our community partners there. 2 nights could have the potential to bring in higher revenue for us to help cover the cost of this. I don't know how people are going to respond to. I really truly believe that the fireworks could be in the middle of the week on a Wednesday night and they're still going to come out for it. So I don't necessarily know that having them Sunday night versus Saturday night is going to be an issue. 2 nights is going to give us just the opposite, twice the amount of work, twice the amount of resources from the police department, the fire department. Hoping to loop in CERT if we're going to have these different locations to kind of help there as well. With that being said, what are your guys' thoughts as far as making a decision on 1 night or 2? Anybody can jump in here.
Do we know what we have in the way of a budget for fireworks? I think that probably needs to be factored in.
That does need to be factored in. The issue that I'm faced with is we are running off of our contract from 2 years ago, and we signed a contract for $25,000. I've talked at length, many conversations with Western Displays. Obviously, their business has taken a huge financial hit. And it was, we've had some tough conversations and we've had some really good productive conversations. I really don't see being able to deviate from that, which is why I'm concerned about, that's one of the draws for me for 2 nights is we could potentially generate more revenue if people want to come out to both shows. I'm starting to think, is it too late to jump in with any, sponsorships from, some of the bigger businesses who maybe haven't taken the financial hit that a lot of the smaller businesses have. Selling the parking spots is going to be huge. Just all of that stuff.
Yeah, and the thing about the parking spots, I think if we're going to charge for them, we just about have to have like some of the food carts and stuff there, because otherwise what's to prevent people from just parking on a street somewhere and avoiding to pay for it, for the parking. So
we're going to have that. That's going to happen.
Well, I realize it is, but at least with the food carts, that would be a draw and a reason to come on down and pay a few extra dollars and
yeah,
have a guaranteed place to park.
I agree with that. And I mean, I like the food truck idea as well. Or if a business, or if a local restaurant has the means to be mobile like that, one of our biggest goals here is to support our local community. So
sure.
Definitely want to have, some sort of food out there for them.
If that's the case, what about, and I know it's a short-term problem, but are there going to have to be porta potties out there?
If we sell parking spots?
That's Aaron's problem.
We got the sewer lagoons, so we're fixed.
We're good. The fireworks crew's good. We got plenty of places to. Yeah, plenty of room. Yeah.
I think for that short of a time period,
I wouldn't think so.
I wouldn't think so. Is there any sort of, Aaron, I don't know if you know this. I mean, I might have to make the call to find out, but is there any type of a time frame where if you exceed a certain amount of time that you have to provide that?
I don't know. I could get a hold of Tony and see what he thinks and go from there. He's always done us good in the past, so.
I don't know, if we're gonna have people out there from 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock playing games and eating food, we might have to have porta potties.
Yeah, at the park.
Yeah.
At the park.
I agree with at the park. I just don't think we would need them at the parking lots for the fireworks show.
I don't think
Maybe
so.
maybe we could advertise. Hey, look, big show, no porta potties. Oh. Yeah. No
You don't
potties
want-
before you come.
You don't want to see the food trucks in the parking lots?
Well,
Yes.
we'd like to see the food trucks in the parking lots, just not
Yeah.
porta potties at each parking lot.
Okay.
Just because each porta potty costs so much per,
Hmm.
Sure wish we had that rainy day fund that we had.
That what?
That rainy day fund.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe.
I'm kind of leaning towards the 2-day just because I know I'm going to hear from people and they're going to say, well, I can't go on that one day.
Mhm.
So if we have 2 days, then people have options, you know?
You guys know what my vote would be. But
More fireworks,
don't
better.
count.
Yeah.
Your vote would be for 10 days?
Yeah, close to it.
10 days. I don't know if I can hang with that. I'll be honest with you. I'm a little tapped out right now. Yeah, I really don't know what your choice would be, Keith. 1 or 2, one big show or 2 nights of fireworks.
Both would work. So to me, it's just as much work for the fireworks crew either way. Because if we do 2 shows, we really don't clean up from the first night's show. We just make sure all of our equipment's secured. And then we do all of our massive cleanup after the second show's over, is what we end up doing.
It's just a little bit more work to load the second show, but loading
Right.
the second show is generally fairly easy.
So might I suggest that maybe Keith and Aaron kind of sit down and figure out, because I mean, if the bigger shells are going to be that much more expensive, maybe this is all a moot point. Maybe this is only going to be one show, one really decent show, you know,
We
so
could-
maybe we
we
need to
could-
figure out what it's going to cost.
Yeah, maybe we could have Western displays give us the look. This is what 2 shows would end up looking like. 10 minutes, you know, or 2 shows you're going to get 30-minute, or sorry, 1 show you're going to get 30 minutes, much bigger, you know, but 2 shows it's going to end up broken down into. It's going to cost more to do the 2 shows, obviously, or less time.
Yeah.
In talking with Heather, I did like Janice's idea about kind of equal number of volume or dollar figure for each show. There is additional cost to do each show. There's a state fireworks permit. And I guess that's the only one we're going to have to pay for this year because our local fire doesn't charge us, local police doesn't charge us, and we're not going to have the marine
Yeah, no marine board.
permit to have to worry about.
Although we are on water,
No, it's not navigable water.
I was gonna say. I think
Well, I
Brown
don't
tried.
Trust me, you don't
Yeah.
want to try and even navigate that water.
Haven't
But
I seen
will-
a rowboat out on there once or twice?
Will there be additional cost though if we're involving the air park or anything like that? The permits there for the FFA or the FAA or anything?
I don't believe so. It's
But,
just filing of paperwork.
yeah. Kind of unknown, actually, really.
I can inquire with Heather about that, but I honestly, I've never heard of a permit for that one.
Okay, so I know in the past, we've always had to have our contract to them by May 1st. We're still under, so we already have our contract done, we're
Right.
under contract with them for this year. She did send me a new contract to sign. We haven't gotten that far yet because I'm not happy with the terms of it. I'm not comfortable with the terms of it. So kind of our verbal agreement was that we would run off of the one that we're already under until we can work out the details of this new one. So I think if we hold off on making this decision until you guys can come back with that information for our April meeting, we should be okay to make that decision in our April meeting and still give them enough time to do what they need to do.
I can reach out to Heather tomorrow and ask her what a 2-day show would look like and a 1-day show would look like with that number of 25 and go from there.
Okay. All right, Aaron, would you have time real soon to maybe spend some time with me and looking at these parking areas and trying to figure out what we're looking at as far as what locations, will be good to try to secure, how many cars we can get into them. I need to start working on numbers. I need to start thinking about different ways we can generate some revenue with all of that.
Yep, I can do that. I can come over an evening or two, or we can go out on a Sunday afternoon or whatever.
Okay. In case you guys didn't see the chat, Tino and Neil are voting for one big show on Sunday night. Which I'm all for the one big show. I need to start worrying about the financing of it and seeing kind of what we could do there. So, I mean,
Yeah, and
might resort to standing outside of Ware Martin Roth and asking for fireworks donations.
I was thinking the same thing. Or calling
What-
Elon Musk and saying, hey, you want to give us some money? Oh.
But Janice, I know Tom is really looking forward to visiting with you. And so, so please reach out to him, especially about the contract and all of that and the financing of the fireworks.
Yeah, we talked about it recently over the phone. I just haven't followed up with him yet, but I will do that.
Because, I mean, as much as everybody loves the fireworks show, I think if we put out tip jars at the local businesses, people would, I'm sure people would start donating towards it, making sure that if they knew that we were going to have a fireworks show. I know I would. I will.
Mm-hmm.
I think they need to see the plan though. I think they need to see what
Sure.
do and try to figure out how they're going to navigate that. And I think the parade's going to be a big part of that too. I mean, if the parade doesn't happen, the backup, I mean, I know we're joking about everything piling up at the fire department, but we've got to have something, and that's certainly centrally located.
Well, I was just suggesting that as one of the places in the reverse parade.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I definitely think that we would need to have multiple locations where instead of just full on canceling it 7 days before, maybe, the Rotary would be able to just change gears quickly and set up a static parade that people can come and visit.
yeah, we could tell all the people who have floats, we could send them to predetermined locations and say, okay, you're to be here and you're to be there, and have that already set up when they join the parade, when they get signed up for it. So that's kind of how maybe
So we could line the ball field area pretty well with floats that are
true.
socially
That's
distanced-ish, and it's a one-way in, one-way out situation, but it's a loop, so you can go down through the boat ramp, back out, and then
You can drive through there.
yeah, that's a loop. So one way, one traffic direction in, and then one traffic direction out, and it would.
Oh, I didn't.
With the boat ramp, it's a complete circle going.
Sure,
through.
but I didn't realize the trail was drivable. I thought it was walkable. I didn't know it was drivable.
No. I meant the roadway going down there, the actual
Yeah.
roadway, and then there is the large parking lot there for the ball fields and all of that. So, and the boat ramp parking lot would be there as well. So
Yeah.
we'd have to close the boat ramp completely. which I guess there's no fireworks on the water, so that might be okay. But that, and then I know that like at Western Oregon, what is that? I can't think of what is that stadium that goes along the back there. They have those multiple parking spots. I don't know if school's still in or not. People could drive through those and then around the stadium parking lot. There's several places where we could set up some sort of staged parade, you know, at least of the parade there with their display.
Sounds good.
Those are just ideas. I guess I'm not part of the parade committee, but
But those are good ones that I can take back to the parade committee.
yeah,
So.
yeah.
Karen, when does Courtney go on leave?
I don't know. Yeah, I've been trying to figure that out. I know it's going to be soon.
Yeah.
It's real soon. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, the one thing I would want to do, get together with you for an emergency plan if we are using the lagoons area out there, as to if we have to have a response out there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good idea. And there is chlorine on site, so I mean,
Yeah.
I don't foresee it being a problem whatsoever, but there is the potential. So.
Yeah, I'll work on kind of a pre-plan for that as a launch area.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things is that one berm that we're going to be on is going to be unpassable by vehicles.
Yeah. But it is accessible at both sides.
Correct.
From around the lagoons. So we have multiple ways to get to the same location as to where we'd be launching from.
Yeah.
Google Earth does a really good, or Google Maps does a really good, you know, or PC Maps. You can see the whole area pretty easily with all its access points.
All right, well, I think we have some good direction to head off into. I will start making contact with some of our local food trucks, and just kind of putting the feelers out there, getting their feedback as far as that goes. And then Aaron and I will work on going and checking out the parking lots. Keith, you continue working with Western, and then bring that information back to the April and let them know that we'll make that decision at our April meeting, whether it's going to be one night or two. And then Shannon, just kind of keep plugging forward with the stuff you're working on with Ida. And I'm going to go ahead.
I'm going to draw a picture because I'm a visual person. So I'm going to draw a picture and send it to you just to get your okay on it's what we're talking about. And then I will float it to Ida and to the museum and see where they can plug in.
Okay, sounds good. I'm going to draw kind of a little game plan for if we do. I feel like if we do the one show on Sunday, if we have the drive-through parade or any type of a parade, then that dead time between the parade and when the fireworks are going to go off, I think would be a good time to see how we can go about making some designated areas down in the park to where we can have some activities going on to a limited capacity with the ability to control the crowd that comes down there as well. So,
I know where there's some really cool games.
Oh yeah, we need to talk about that.
Wait a minute, this isn't good. Oh.
I think that's everything that we touched on tonight. Did I forget anything? No? Okay. Karen, when does the Rotary meet again?
They meet every Thursday, but the parade committee will be meeting 2 weeks from yesterday. Or no,
okay.
Yeah, 2 weeks from yesterday. So
okay. So we should have another update somewhat at our April meeting then?
yeah, because by then we will have talked to the city managers and staff from both cities to see what might be possible. So
Okay. Sounds good. Anything else anybody wants to bring up for the evening? Go eat my cold dinner.
I already had my dinner. See, I had shrimp tonight. My cheeks are extremely red.
No, that's too bad.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. I truly appreciate your guys' hard work. This isn't an easy thing to pull off. I know I know I'm exhausted with all the changes that we have to continually make. But you know, it's part of our everyday life right now. So I appreciate you guys sticking it out and continuing on with this.
Same here.
All right. I'll see